Namaste and greetings to all. I am Umang from Policy Advocacy Research Centre and Mumbai Tarun Bharat, and I welcome you all to Bharatasya Sangeet Vishwanubandh Yatra. It is an attempt to trace the journey of Indian classical music and instruments in interrelationship with world music cultures. This yatra is in association with the Ministry of Culture, Government of India. Today, we have with us Mr. Nicollo Melocchi. Nicollo Melocchi is an Italian musician who has been playing and studying Indian music for many years, and he is now engaged in bringing his knowledge to Europe. His research is mainly focused on wind instruments such as bansuri, algoza, pungi, and morchang. Furthermore, he is studying musical traditions from the north of India, Hindustani music, and folk music from Rajasthan. He has looked for the purest source of his musical styles and has been accepted as a student and accompanying flautist by the legend flute master maestro Sri Hariprasad Chaurasia. While in Italy, he was often busy with his concerts and live performances with the aim to create an artistic dialogue between the West and the East. He also organizes international tourneys and workshops about music and dance, becoming a contact between the Italian and the Indian artists. Namaste, Nicollo ji. I welcome you.
Namaste, Umang ji. Thanks for calling me for this interview.
So let's begin with the questions. I would like to ask, how did you first become interested in Indian classical music, and what specifically drew you to the bansuri?
Well, it's really hard to define a certain moment. It was a sequence of happenings that came to my life and bring me slowly to this big journey to India. First, I came to India in 2005 just for traveling and discover the Indian culture. So mainly I was interested in the yoga field, in the meditation, and at that time I was a musician studying piano and flute. So once I had the opportunity to attend an Indian classical music program in Delhi, and I was really impressed by the quality of the music and the spontaneous approach that the musician had. So I was really shocked, and when I returned to my country, something started to change in me. It was like the first seed that the Indian music and the Indian culture put inside me, and that seed during the next years started to grow up as a strong tree. And finally, I returned to India many times, and I had the fortune to be a disciple of Guruji Sri Hariprasad Chaurasia, and still I'm in this process to learn the Indian classical music.
That is lovely. Wow. Now, I would like to ask you about your journey as a musician and what kind of music did you grow up listening to?
So, of course, I start to listen to the Italian music since the childhood, and here we have a huge tradition in classical music and also popular folk Italian music. So I grew up in that background. As I told you, I learned piano since the age of 9. So I had music classes for several years in my childhood, and I learned the Western classical music. Then, when my teenage start, So I start to listen different genre of music, and I start to travel more. So I discover the music from US. I discover the music, the pop, the rock from the 70s. Great player as Jimi Hendrix or Jim Morrison, that really was, they were really innovative musicians. And when Jan Anderson on the flute, belonging to the group of Jethro Tull, they were really inspiring me. So once I have the chance to also travel to East countries, so then I discover Ravi Shankar and other great maestros, Ali Akbar Khan and all the other great musicians of India. So that melting pot create a global view on the music field. And nowadays I'm listening mainly Indian classical music, but my background is made of all these influences.
Vibrant spectrum of influence, and that is truly lovely. I'd like to ask you, did the pursuit of Indian classical music change something within you?
Yeah, Indian classical music gave me everything really, and really it gave me a method of study very different from the one I was accustomed to. Uh, Indian mind is, I believe, a bit different from the Western mind. Like in our head, we have a brain, but is divided in two parts. One is emotional and one is rational part. So I think, in my small opinion, that West it's more rational and calculating mind process, and the East has more rooted their philosophy in the heart and the mystical thoughts, like meditation. It's a different approach by the philosopher of the ancient Greece and Italy. So how the European study music is very different than how the Indian do it. We used to learn by written music from maestros, and we use more the memory and repeat the works, the incredible works of great genius of the past. Then there is a very small part for the improvisation. But in the Indian music, the approach is really opposite. Like when I came to Vrindavan Gurukul, the school of Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasia, my guru, I was a bit shocked from the different approach. We were sitting all together around the guru, and he was playing a phrase without explaining much, just music and 2 3 notes, and in core we had to repeat that just by listening. So I realized that my many years of studies were different, totally different, because I was really in a new field, just the music, just the vibration of the svaras, and I need to be able to recognize it by listening only and reproduce it. And that is the real experience of music for me, because music is not something that comes through the eyes, but comes directly through the ears, and through the ears to the art, not to the mind. Because if we try to understand, so it's not working at all. The feeling is not there. And also the method of do the sadhana, like to do chilla and to really close yourself in a space and in a room and just do riyaz. I mean, starting from 4 o'clock in the morning and then go through all the hours of the day, but you maintain the practice on the music. So that it's really different approach. It's like a meditation, it's like a yoga. It's something that you want to go deep and go to the core of it. And that I really I will be always grateful to my guru, Pandit Hariprasad Chaurasia, and to all the Indian culture, because it really gave me this view. If you want to do music, you have to surrender to it, and you must put your head at the feet of the guru and get the knowledge by humility and sincere effort. So it's totally another thing.
Samarpan se sadhana is
Sadhana.
Now I'd like to ask you, being an Italian, having grown up in Italy and learning the European languages, how was the study of Indian classical music in terms of theory?
We didn't have so much theory. As I told you, Guruji is really practical man and brought us directly to the main point, to the listening. Then, of course, through the experience, we had a lot of opportunity to sit together and chat about music. But again, the main thing is the experience, anubhav. And we had the chance to meet a lot of different musicians that used to come to visit Panditji, Guruji. And so we have lecture demonstration from genius of the previous century, as Srimati Kishori Amonkarji, and we had the chance to meet Pandit Jasarajji and Rajan Sajan Mishra, Shiv Kumarji, all these legends that already are not with us. And we had the chance to listen from their words, their experience, and a different approach of different instrumentalist or vocalist. So yeah, there was some theory, but based on personal experiences. And I believe that is the real, source of knowledge, not more in the books.
Now, moving towards the time ahead, I'd like to ask you, how do you think technology has impacted the way Indian classical music is taught, performed, and shared with audiences around the world?
Yeah, it's a really big change and a big challenge to the Indian music field and for all of us. Of course, technology helped us a lot, because now we have so many applications that allowed us to do riyaz, to do the practice, like, many tampura or tabla softwares and applications for online classes, courses, and even the YouTube. It's a really good instrument to be able to listen different music, but before was available only on CDs or LP, so not so easy to purchase. So now really the technology brought the possibility for everyone in every part of the globe to connect and to practice together. So this is a really great change, an opportunity to spread all over the world the music. The only negative part is the change of the format. And like now the music is mainly experienced on the screens, on the MP3, on the TVs, on the big show of corporate events that they want a lot of effects. So a music that was created in the mahals, in the Maharaja's courts, when it is brought to a different stage level, so it's changing. It's changing according to the time. So nowadays we see a lot of short performances. Everyone is doing on Instagram 1 minute raga or these things. But I mean, this is also part of the book, is part of the story. So we have to be in our times. But what we feel when we listen Hindustani music or Carnatic music is the peace. No?
Mhm. Mhm.
It's not more in lights and show and shocking experience, but like acrobatic dance or things. It's more on you give the right note in the right moment and you just make cry the people. So that's
It is a thing of a long pursuit, not for the shorter, let's say, audience attention. Now,
yeah.
I would like to ask you, from your first on-stage performance till today, how has Indian classical music changed you?
As I told you so much, I mean, I'm in this process since many years. My first stage performance was probably in 2012, around that period, when I was a really beginner and I didn't even know what I was going to play. Just had some image that I used to listen on CDs and recording and try to copy. Then after 10 years of residence in India and having been trained by Guruji, so now I have a bigger view on the puzzle of the Indian music of the ragas, and I can conduct better my imagination. And yeah, but it's something that change year after year. It's according my state of mind and my view on the process. So raga is not a defined thing. You cannot really give a definition for raga, because as more you go deep, more knowledge and point of view you get of it. So by now I can see raga in true colors and shapes that I was not able to do before. So now I just see like kind of yantra and mandala. I can understand a bit more of it.
Can you talk about a rather more memorable performance of yours, the most memorable one?
I mean, I always remember the last performance with Guruji in Mumbai. You know, there is always a bit of tension when you have to perform on the same stage of such a legend and with such a great musician. I remember there was Pandit Yogesh Samsi on the stage on tabla, and my Guru Ben Debo Priyaji. Amazing and such a good musician all, and I was there sitting with them. And few days back, Guruji told we will play Bageshri. So you stay in the room doing alankar and palta to prepare your hand. When in the green room you are checking the composition with the guru, and just in the moment that the Hankar was calling us, we have to go on the stage. So Guruji just stopped before to step on the stage and say, okay, now we will play Jinjoti. The thing changed completely and the canvas was blank again, and you have to be ready. So this is a great lesson, because European mind is always like that. We want to prepare everything.
So, since you said you had to change the rag you were going to perform at the end moment, I'd like to ask you, which is your most played raga? And if you were to think, what has that raga given you?
I mean, I have favorite ragas according to the period. Now it's already more than 1 years 1 year that I'm not staying in India, so I have big longing feeling for my previous life. So now I'm try to create here some program according to the Indian festivities. So like I play for a show during the last Diwali. So at that period, I played the winter raga like Deepavali from late Pandit Pannalal Ghosh. It was his creation. So I try to analyze that raga and discover how to move in it and how to express the feeling of Diwali that was contained in that scale. Then we did Saraswati Puja. So I played Saraswati Raga, completely a different landscape of sounds. And now it was Holi. So we did another show and I was playing Kafi or Basant, very new raga. So I tried to follow a bit the Basant Ruti and all the changing of the Ruti of the seasons. So it helped me to discover new things and to always be connected with the Indian culture. So I'm changing all the time. Now I have to think something for the April.
How does the Italian audience respond to your take on Indian classical music?
Italian are fine, are curious people. They always welcome the good things, and I mean there is not much public for this. We are building up this audience. Great maestros did a great job in the previous decades, but now with the coming of 2000, the economic change, so we have less world music and less maestro, and the COVID also will stop the situation. But I can say it's fine. We have a few Indian festival, so every year during summer we have good maestro, really great master coming come to perform for us. But yeah, it's a work that we are doing. Like now, I'm also start to teach this music in the conservatory, and this is one of the challenges to promote Hindustani music and Bansuri flute into the high schools and to the university of music, especially. So I think it will take few years more, but Indian music is growing more and more.
I'd like to ask you, in your view, how have many Indian musical instruments gathered great attention over the world? And how do you see the impact of Indian culture on world music?
Of course, the first Indian ambassador for the music has been Alauddin Khan Sahab, Baba Alauddin Khan. He was one of the first that had the opportunity to travel to Europe in the beginning of the 20th century with a tournée organized by Alice and Georgette Born, two Swiss lady. So he was touring at that period with a group of musicians from India, and also the young Ravi Shankar was with them as a dancer. And that was the Orientalism approach in the opera. There were some opera in Paris and in the main theater of Europe when the people want to see the charm of the East, and India was one really important part of it. So then after him, Ravi Shankar did a great job in the 60s, 70s in the pop culture. So mainly the string instrument had a great impact. The sitar, the sarod of this specific Gharana, Mayar Gharana. So yeah, through the Beatles, when we had a spreading of it in a massive way. George Harrison, did many albums with the Indian instruments, sitar, tabla, tampura, and flute. And even my Guruji had the chance to record in his album and to tour with Pandit Ravi Shankarji all over US and Europe with the Ravi Shankar Orchestra. So they were really pioneer in this. And now the Bansuri is really taking place because the simplicity of the instrument, it's just a bamboo reed, and it's not so expensive as a sitar, and is easy to carry. So nowadays, much more people are starting to learn the flute, and thanks to the work of great musicians as Guruji, Pandit Hariprasad Chaurazia, that had a really international career. So every year we were performing in the main theater of France and England and all Europe. So many people get amazed by their sound. And I am one of those. I got the first meeting with Guruji in a concert when I was in Spain during a summer. And after the concert, I just went to him and I say, this is amazing. I want to learn. I am listening your music on the CDs and I'm trying to copy with the silver flute. I want to learn. So he just said, come to Bombay. After 2 years, I was in Bombay because that thought came in my mind one day and I couldn't remove it. So I went there. So this is the great role of, inspirational people, that they give inspiration. They allowed you to dream and to dream loud. And yeah, they are changing the situation. And nowadays, European musicians learn Indian classical music, and Indian classical are really famous in the jazz field, in the classical field. So there is a good meeting time now.
Thank you so much, Nicollo ji. May I ask you to play something for us?
Play. I brought Bansuri. This is my first Bansuri, made by my first guru, Shri Harshvardhan ji from Delhi. He was also a very famous flute maker. He started my journey in 2009, teaching me what is alap, what is alankar, what is a bandish. So I have to remember him, and I will also give thanks to him every day of my life. So can you hear the tampura, or is it too loud? I will play very short. short hori for.
How wonderful. Thank you so much. Thanks a lot. So this was Nicollo Melocchi, an Italian flautist and musician who joined us for our Bharatasya Sangeet Vishwanubandh Yatra. We are glad to have you on board, sir. Thank you so much.
Thanks to all of you.